In this lesson, we're going to go over curves in Maya. Curves are the fundamental building block for modeling in Maya with surfaces. Surfaces are a little different than modeling with polygons. Surfaces are a mathematical representation of a 3D form, and they use curves to build them. So in Maya, we're in our regular scene here, in your default polygon modeling shelf here. We're going to go over here to the curves and surfaces toolbar here. And you'll see there's a whole new set of tools over here and objects. Just like with polygons, these you can pick on these and they do different things. We're not going to go over all of these things, but we're going to go over some of them. In this lesson, we're going to focus on just the curve component of Maya. So the first thing is just this little tool here. This is what let me show you how to draw a curve in Maya. So you just pick on that tool and you can draw the curve however you like. Go over here and show it. To access its component tools, what you do is just like with polygons, you would right mouse click on the object, and then this will access different ways you can modify your curve. Let me go to a front view. Generally, it's good to work on curves in a 2D view. So you can move the curve around however you like. You can adjust it. Moving these little points here. I'm going to go over what these points are in a few minutes. Okay. So yes, this is a basic curve. They work really nicely, especially if you like to draw or you're a designer or engineer. Pretty typical using curves. They're spline curves. So I'm going to get rid of this one here. Okay. Delete it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, I've made a few curves already, and I'm going to go over these and just discuss them. Here's just a standard arc. Okay, this is a perfect half circle. So let me explain the elements of a curve, or what makes up a curve and how you can use them. I'm going to switch this layer off. I have one set up over here. These are the different elements of a curve. When you pick on this is the curve itself. But then you'll see these are the little points here. And these are the different elements of the mathematical representation of the curve that you can actually access and you can modify this curve with. These little X's on the curve itself, those are called edit points. And they can be picked. So if you right mouse click on here, and then we go to edit point, you can pick on them. And then these can be moved. So if I want to move them. So this is if you like to work directly on the curve. Move them around, okay. And then again, right mouse click. You can also get these things, which are called control vertices, which are these. These, if you work with spline curves, these are actually moving the splines. So these are actually, even though they seem a little more unusual to use, they actually give you a cleaner bend to your arc. And then they'll work with over here, like on the tangency of the arc. So those are the control vertices. And then these things in here, these are your hulls. You can't really modify these, but they're good to see, especially if you're working with tangency at the end of curves. Okay. So let me show you something also here. Let me switch off this curve here. Let me switch on the original curve I had here. Now, if you wanted to access these, like sometimes in Maya, it might be easier for you to see these things at all times. You can pick on your object. And then you can go up here to display. And you can go down here to NURBS. This is opens access to display of some other kind of elements of your object. We've gone over this in polygons, like you can keep your vertices on permanently. Sometimes when you're learning, sometimes that's very helpful. But so in our NURBS, the most things that are most helpful are these, the CVs, the control vertices. And then you have to go back over here again. And then if you want to edit points, the hulls, you can turn the hulls on too, if you like. I don't find those as useful. But if you want to access these, you can access them here. In the modeling toolkit, you can use this. This doesn't have surfaces or faces, and it doesn't have edges, but you can use the vertex picker, and that will allow you to at least pick on the control vertex, okay? The CV. Move it if you want to do that. Moving by CV tends to be, as I said, a little cleaner, but you can move by edit point as well. I think if you switch on this, yeah, that'll allow us. Yeah, if you switch on, if you go up here to one of your edit menu filters here, you can, if you press this button here, this will allow you to actually pick any of your elements here. So if you want to pick CV, or if you want to pick edit point, you can do that. Okay. Now, later on, when you use these work really well with image planes. If you read an image plane and you trace it over with these curves, they are very, very nice. But let me move on with showing you some of the other elements of these. I'll switch this off. You can also just create a circle. And they're very helpful. You can do Shift F, circle. Okay. So there's a circle in there, and then you see it has the, I actually have the edit points displayed on this one here. Let me switch it off and I'll show you how to do that. That would be this tool here. So you can just, so the first one here is the edit point. That's the one if you want to just draw curves randomly, however you want. And then you can actually just create a circle, and that'll just pop in a circle here, okay? And then if you want, like I said, you can pick on these. Now, these are kind of interesting too. You'll see these later when you start using these in stacks. You'll put a bunch of these together and you'll actually generate a surface between them. So, but you can do things like this, like you can modify a circle. You could start with a circle and then spin things around. And I'll do some tutorials on, how this works and how this could be nice. You could also, let me delete this one. I'll show you another trick you can do too. We could do this. And let me put on the control vertices. All right. So if I pick this, that, and if I did a scale, you could make some cool forms with it. Okay. You can also increase the resolutions on these. If we want to, we'll put it here in the, you could change the number of sections here. So we could give it 20. Oh, no, it doesn't like that. Let me, yeah, let me, because I already modified it. Let me make another circle here. Let me display its control vertices. All right. Let me make it live here. And let me, I'll do like 24. About that. Okay. Now we'll do this. Now you see there's many more points here. Don't get worried about this. This is just if you want to start making things more complex. Okay. All right. Let's delete this one out. All right. And then there's other things too. Like if you just want to make a line with this tool, if you just want to make a line, all your snap controls work with curves as well. So what I would do is I would press X to snap to grid here, and then I would snap the grid there. Okay, now you have a perfect line now. Okay, so if you wanted to make a, if you wanted to manually make a square, we could do that. So we could just do this. So what I'll do is I will do this. I will hold down the X key for my grid snap. Okay, so I just can keep going there. Okay, and I'm tapping the G key in between because that restarts the line drawing command. All right, so I'm drawing this in 3D. I don't suggest you draw this in 3D. I just happen to draw this in 3D so you could see it in space here. All right. And then you can also, here's another thing you can do as well is you can, we've gone over grid snap here and we've gone over point snap, but you can also snap to curve. That will make sure that it's, when I draw the next line here, should snap right to, yeah, it goes right to the curve, okay? Okay, so there we go. That's that. And then if you want, that was for just drawing lines. So that's if you wanted to, I mean, you could draw any lines you wanted. I mean, you can draw them different ways, especially if you're trying to make some architectural models. This would work really well because you could just trace out, you could read in like a blueprint or something like that and just trace it out with that command there. Or if you want, there's a real simple one here too. You can just make a square, okay? So there you go. That's the basics of curves. There are many more things in curves. Like there's all kinds of editing things here. Like you can make arcs, you can cut curves, you can join curves, you can offset curves. We're not going to go over that right now because it's a little more complex and just want to get everybody used to curves. And the best thing with curves is just to load a bunch up and just, or to, open up a new file and then just start playing around with the different tools here. Okay. All right, that's it for this one. And then these are going to be the fundamental part of creating surfaces, which is what we're going to go on to next.